Hey peeps, welcome back to a special continuation of our previous episode. We talked so much we had to split it up. So if you haven't listened to the previous, go ahead and check that out. If you're all caught up, then you may proceed.
John, what's up? Do you want to talk about your stuff?
Sure.
Talk about your stuff.
So,
let's do WatchMojo.
yeah. WatchMojo, for those who don't know, they make list videos on YouTube.
Highly controversial list videos.
Yeah, especially lately. They have different channels. They have like a Miss Mojo, WatchMojo. They do all sorts of things, sports, movies, TV shows, actors, actresses, all sorts of lists. Movies.
Thank you.
But they put one out about a month ago that was titled The Top 20 Greatest Horror Movies of All Time.
I had a chance to look at it.
And that's a pretty strong statement to make.
Real quick, do you know what horror starts with? H-O.
W.
I just like watching Justin's face. Like, he's counting in his head. Okay.
Well, I think at this point, he probably knows what the ping looks like on the sound wave thing.
Yeah.
Ping.
Okay.
Anyway,
was
so
Owen.
you guys have watched the list. I don't know if you've watched the list.
No.
But I have it right here. So we're going to go through it and we're going to shit on it, basically, and come up with our own top 10, which is going to be difficult.
So explain the list again for me, since
It's 20 movies.
Yeah, that
WatchMojo's-
WatchMojo picked as the greatest horror movies of all time.
I can only imagine.
Right.
No, you can't.
They looked at the world's most legendary and critically acclaimed horror movies, and then they ranked them. Let us know what you think in the comment. Oh, sorry, I wasn't reading that part.
I think we got 2 picks before Lonnie goes off, since 19 is.
Yeah.
Oh no, this whole list is fucking trash.
What number is Exorcist on their list?
You'll
I'll
get
get
there.
to it.
Okay.
It's on here.
It's close.
It's very close to being right.
There are a few that are in the right spot, but there are some that aren't even. I don't even know what number 20 is, to be honest.
It's an Italian movie.
Got it.
Justin has it on
What is it called,
VHS.
Justin?
It's called Suspiria.
Thank you.
You've never heard of Suspiria?
Disturbia?
Suspiria.
Suspiria.
So that's what they
Giochino-
ranked number 20. I've never seen it, so I guess I don't have an opinion on it.
It's Dario Argento.
I've never seen it. I've heard of it.
Suspiria. It's the most. So Suspiria is seen as the most beautiful horror movie ever made.
It's
I think
actually,
that's what they said on this list, too.
I haven't seen it, but it looks like it's very intentional. And
It's beautiful. The movie itself isn't that great. It's kind of a slow burn.
Right.
It's about witches at a dance academy. It's a great movie.
1977.
Yeah, it's a great movie if you are into beautiful cinematics and
they redid it in 2018.
2018 with Dakota.
They're specifically
Fanning?
talking about the
Not-
1977 one.
Kai.
Yeah. But the
77.
The 1977 one, Dario Argento one, it's just like it's such beautiful contrasting colors.
Is it
and
all
so
subtitles?
Yeah.
Gross.
So bright and vibrant music by Goblin. It's
Not
just
only
a
that,
I'm
great
watching the
movie.
clip
Yeah,
they're showing.
it looks really good, and like it looks like it's designed for like the subjects and the framing itself. Like it looks like perfectly balanced as far as like the actors and the environment.
It's just pretty blown out there.
Right, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, that's what that movie looks like. I don't know, I've never seen it. It looks interesting, but subtitles really turn me off.
Yeah, it's a great movie. If you're a Dario Argento fan, you'll love it. Dario Argento's hard to get into though. Like he definitely has a pacing, and
That's the thing about me is like
giallo.
I know like the common people need to have something in their face like within the first like 12 minutes or so, or even sooner these days. It seems like the first 6-7 minutes.
Like if the opening scene doesn't have something in it, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I kind of like to ease into it and like let my mind take it.
Oh, you don't say.
I want to let my
I did say-
You don't
anticipation.
say.
Yeah, it's got a couple.
I do like having anticipation build.
It's got some creative, beautiful kills in it. And you don't really refer to kills as beautiful, but there's a couple kills in it that are just, like, as a horror fan, they're just chef's kiss cinematically beautiful.
I
So-
say that, but I also am also against that. Like with Space Odyssey, I'm like, ooh, okay, too long. Too long.
Agreed. Would you have this in your top 20 then, being the only person in this room that's seen it?
Absolutely. This would be my top 10.
Oh, really?
It's that important to horror.
This one,
This one.
all right. I haven't seen the second
the
one.
remake
The
is better of a scary movie,
All right.
but this is a much more important movie.
So the remake is not
so
a shot
top
by shot.
10 of most important horror movies, this is in the top 10. The best scary movies of all time, important, yes. Best,
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
I think it also is important how you define horror too, because I mean, like there is the obvious slasher stuff, but there's also like the more psychological thriller stuff, and I think that's
to be important, it has to serve a purpose. Like a movie can be the best at something, but
Or
yet
break a barrier.
still
Yeah.
not be important. Like,
Oh, fair enough.
like Cannibal Holocaust is probably one of the best disturbing movies, but it's not really super important. It's just a disturbing movie.
All right.
Like
enough.
same thing like Serbian film. Like they have a purpose. Their purpose is to gross
Make
you
you
out.
turn it off.
But they're really not.
We're not talking about Prey. That was the last time.
Hey,
They're
oucha.
they really don't hold up.
All right. I want to get to the next one though, because I know it's
I'm gonna just-
hit a note in this room.
I'm gonna jot
I'm just
that one
gonna go
down
ahead
for
and put my
us.
fingers up
Suspiria.
already.
Number 19 is Nightmare on Elm Street.
What the
1984.
literal fuck? 19? Seriously?
Thoughts?
Yes, but not really.
Growing up, I was not a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Same.
But
I don't really
19?
understand why.
19?
Because as I've watched them,
good.
as I've watched them as an adult, I enjoy them for what they are. So as an adult, with this being on the list, I think that is pretty low on the list. It should.
So
be
you would have it
definitely-
on the list
I would have it on the list. I'd have it higher.
higher.
Importance in horror. Nightmare on Elm Street being 19th? Come the fuck on.
I think today, if this would have came out today, it would be an easy thing to make. But I think back then it was one of a kind. There was nothing like this when it hit the screen.
And we're talking about the first one, correct?
Correct. 1984.
I mean, part 3 is the best one out of all of them, but
Eh.
Part 2 for sure.
I like
I don't
that
think
one as
there's
well.
any. I don't think there's any sequels on here at all. This list, so that's kind of interesting as well. So you guys all have it on your list, just not that low.
Yes, I would. I put it top 5.
Top 5 even.
My list changes every year.
Fair. Mine
So-
does too. Most days. All right, so we all agree that should be on the list. Number 18 is one of my favorites. Saw.
I would put that definitely higher than 18.
Agreed.
I think, again, that's another one of those movies that kind of,
And we're just talking about the first one.
I wouldn't say it was one of a kind because I think Urban Legends kind of did a similar feel as far as like taking somebody and making them feel helpless, like what they're doing, their choices, I guess. You know, like you're stuck here and you have to do something that's self-inflicting. And then also face, well, I guess what Urban Legends didn't do is like you have to face your actions.
But Urban Legends sucked.
Kind of.
It didn't suck.
There was a
It
few
wasn't like
stories of it that I
it.
thought was pretty cool.
Fair.
What I will say about Saw is that was the first movie whose twist really made me go, holy fuck.
100%.
And I think a lot of the movies nowadays are trying to duplicate
Trying to
that.
emulate that.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would definitely have that higher up on the list. Top 10.
That's in my top 5.
It'd be close to around the 10 spot for me.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I'd probably have it in my top 15, but I don't know if my top 10. It's a great movie, and yeah, the twist is top tier.
The fucking
Chef's
guy,
kiss.
the dead body in the middle of the floor the whole
The
time.
whole
was-
fucking time. Yeah.
Never once did it
and
cross
this whole
anyone's
movie
mind.
basically takes place in one room. And most of the movies like that are kind of ass. It's limiting their story, but they kept the narrative going the whole time.
Do you consider Saw horror?
Yeah.
That's the thing is horror is such a
Horror, thriller.
needs a lot of subgenres
Yeah,
for it.
There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of lines between thriller and horror. Like the movie Skeleton Key. What do you consider that?
Garbage.
Wow.
Wait, Samuel Jackson one?
No.
Or
Kate Hudson.
what am I thinking of?
You probably haven't
fuck
seen
am I
it.
thinking of?
Are you thinking of 1408?
That had a nice twist too.
It was like Skeleton something, I thought.
No, he's thinking of
Anyways.
1408.
I guess I don't know what I would give it then. Oh,
What? Skeleton Key?
yeah.
Oh.
Moving on.
But we all agree Saw should be on the list.
Yes.
So that was good. Okay, number 17 is interesting to me because of where they also have something that came out around the same time.
Yeah, I would definitely put the something that came around the same time
What the fuck is it?
higher.
It's Frankenstein,
Oh, okay.
which you can kind of guess Dracula is on this list as well,
Yes,
but it's a lot higher.
much higher. Frankenstein.
1931.
I feel
Frankenstein.
like because I can empathize with the creature, I don't really see it as much of a horror. Like the bad person is the scientist.
Right.
I think the bad person is society. I don't even think the scientist is
I
a
don't
bad
think in
person. He just had a
1931 they were thinking
dream.
about that.
I can see that, but I feel like he had a disconnect.
Well,
yeah.
I think for
he had
being-
vengeance he had aspirations of power, which
Power
doesn't
corrupts.
make him a bad person. It just makes him ambitious.
Not the bad guy.
I think for 1931,
guy.
it looks great.
Right.
Absolutely.
But
19
it's difficult to compare all these movies on the same list because obviously back in 1931 or whatever, they didn't have the luxuries that they have today with things like they didn't have CGI and all this stuff. So
Right.
you have to look at it that with what they had, they made a
I think
pretty
that's why it
iconic
looked-
movie.
Yeah, I think
and,
that's why.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like character of Frankenstein was one of the first movies that had like sequels and remakes and all these different versions of it that all the movies nowadays do
Right.
because they want to.
I mean, pretty much most of all the Universal monsters did.
Yeah, but it wasn't didn't like Bride of Frankenstein and all that shit come
Yeah,
out
yeah.
before like
Bruh.
sequels to the other ones. I think is what he's trying
As far
to
as
say.
like film, yes. But as far as like stories, I mean, like Dracula has been a story long before it's
right.
film.
Mm-hmm.
And sequels or differences of those.
I think this is on the list in the right spot. I don't think it
I
should
would
be
say
any
yeah.
higher.
I would say
It's a
I
good
would put
template.
it- yeah, I mean for what it was when it was, sure.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think I also like, because I don't necessarily consider this strictly horror, I think it's more like a psychological thing to watch like the downfall of like the man. The creature is pretty much innocent because he is,
Right.
later on, he kind of has more intentions.
And he's terrifying looking. Like
Yes.
if you saw that on the street, like especially in 1931, like people aren't used to seeing shit like that.
And kind of like to Lonnie's comment of like, it's more of like the society against the creature. Yes. Society against the Dr. Frankenstein. I don't know. I don't see, it's hard to grasp it as like horror. It was good when it, yeah.
we can
Ready
move
to
on
be
to
good.
the next one.
I was gonna say I don't agree with you guys. I don't think this movie should be in the top 20. I think there's better black and white movies that could have been on this list. Being a Universal monster, I think, is what put it on this list. It's a beautiful movie. Don't get me wrong. Best of all time, I don't think so.
Especially when
I
he throws the girl in the water.
I think this movie could have been replaced by something like Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I think that would have been a better representation of early horror than Frankenstein. That's just what I think. Not that the movie's not bad. The movie is fantastic.
Nobody cares
But
what you
as
think.
a best of all time, I don't think it deserves to be there. I'm just saying George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Sure.
What?
So number 16 on the list is actually
Is that yay? Is that yay?
is actually the original, not the remake made by the United States. In
I prefer.
Which one do you prefer?
I always prefer the
It's
Japanese
Ring.
version. Yeah. Ringu.
Ringu.
So you said this is the original, not
Yes.
the remake?
Not the remake.
The
in
1992.
2002.
I have
Yeah,
not
1998.
seen that one,
it
so I
98?
can't really comment on it.
I definitely think this needs to be higher.
It's pretty much a bit by bit remake, pretty much, but
Almost.
just
yeah.
better. Like better graphics, better acting.
And
There's
I
a
think
thing when it
helped
comes to, like-
spawn things like Ju-on, The Grudge,
Yeah.
all those movies too.
Right.
There's a
Taylor-
thing with like
Taylor Two
Asian cinema.
Sisters.
I think they do creep like so
Oh,
much
yeah.
better than
100%
American.
agree with that.
Mainly because their utilization of like.
Plus,
I
Asian
prefer
people
their
are just
ghosts better than
scarier.
American ghosts.
Well, they
They're
don't-
contortionists and all that.
They don't rely as much on atmosphere. They rely more on the pure fear opposed to atmospherical fear.
Right.
So
They also don't utilize CGI that much. They use practical things. So, like when the person's contorting, it's an actual contortionist and stuff.
Right.
And I think that they do simplistic makeup too on all these characters, but it's creepy as fuck.
They also shoot different angles too, and like they're heavily saturated, I guess, with shadows and stuff. I think their usage of that is much better.
What was that movie we watched at Chuck's that you had where it was? I don't know if it was like
vampire-
yeah,
yeah,
just the way
ghost
they were
whatever.
like hopping and stuff. I thought that was just an interesting touch that they
Yeah.
did, and it stuck with me.
Rigor mortis.
Yeah,
That was
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It from a lot of people always talk about this movie, so it probably should be on this list.
I would say top 10 for me, maybe above 5.
I say it's on the list. I don't know where specifically I would put it. Like I would probably have to sit down and make a list. Like I said, it did spawn other movies or make them kind of popular. Like I said, I love The Grudge. I think that movie scares the shit out of me for the same reasons we were talking about. They're not using CGI. They're using practical people and very light makeup and all that shit. Lighting effects, like you said.
Well, in a lot of Asian lore, they don't believe in such terrifying creatures. Like that's what there are scary demons and scary monsters.
There's their own
and
forms of
whatnot,
demons,
but they that's what a lot of their folklore is. That's what their monsters, their demons represent. Like, so that's a pretty true representation of what they fear.
Well,
I think it strikes an American audience differently because a lot of the creatures or things that are created here are more, I guess I see sort of like religion taking a bigger push as far as like the creation, as far as like your values or stuff like that, ghosts, things going to like heaven or hell, demons, stuff like that. But whereas in Asian community, our culture, there's sorts of religions that do have like demons or like Ginosaji style stuff. Like I think that pushes a different area that you're not used to. So it's like, oh, for me, yeah, that is creepy.
has anyone seen number 15 on the list?
I don't think
Innocent.
that's-
The Innocent. That's the one on the list I
1961.
haven't seen.
Nope.
I just know that it's basically a haunted house movie. A governess is watching over two children and comes to the fear that the large estate is haunted by the ghost and that the children are being possessed. And I know this was praised because it incorporated bold, minimal lighting as well as deep focus employed by cinematographer, blah, 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 Freddie Francis, to achieve a distinctive and sometimes claustrophobic atmosphere. So I feel like it's kind of like the new Invisible Man, how like it just used claustrophobic spaces and atmosphere to just see it. But I don't know. I haven't seen this movie, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't. None of us have, so I guess can't really comment on it.
No.
If I have seen it, it doesn't stick out.
1961. It's black and white according to this video. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Number 14, I have not seen either, and it's on my list.
Acting was phenomenal. Ending definitely needs a rewrite.
Can we start with like naming what it is?
No.
Because I don't have the list.
Hereditary.
Hereditary
God.
2018.
is
No.
fucking garbage.
Yeah,
I think the
wouldn't even
mom-
have it in the top 100.
I think the mom definitely carried that movie. Like her acting was on par. I don't like the ending. The
Toni
ending sucked.
Collette is great. You can't take anything away from Toni Collette. The rest of the movie is fucking garbage.
It's like for me not necessarily anticipation, but like the grievingness or whatever, especially like
Sure.
with the daughter, you know. And then after that, it's like the movie went to shit.
The movie started shit. The middle part was shit and the ending part was shit. It was all shit.
But there was different color shit.
It was
So much
so
shit.
overrated.
So
everybody,
much shit.
One was a better looking shit though.
Everybody was
No,
like, "This
it was
movie
all
has
shit.
freaked me out," and I went and seen it with such high expectations, and I'm like,
It's got
That's
a
dumb.
90% from the critics and a 69 from the audience. So.
Yeah,
I
it's because critics are dumb fucks. A
I'd
good
put
majority
this
of the
at
time.
number 5,282 on my
This
list.
should be a top 19 list, and this should be thrown. in
The only
For me,
the only
like-
movies that are below this is the remake of It and Scream franchise.
The thing with this is like, because we go back to like Pet Cemetery and like the child dying there. I think this child dying in this one, Hereditary, was
Spoiler alert.
way worse than.
Spoiler alert for all these.
Are you serious?
Yeah, what's his name? Yeah,
Channing Tatum?
no, the little kid from Pet Cemetery.
His
Yeah.
name was fucking Gage, for one.
Thank you.
And two,
I don't
hold
know her
on.
name.
I'm taking a more serious approach now.
It's getting aggressive.
I'm sitting up. No,
He's
you're not
taking a violent
comparing
stance.
Pet Cemetery to fucking Hereditary when I'm in the room.
The child death. Yo, what is that?
She sticks her head out the window and gets hit by a fucking post.
No, she. Yes.
You're comparing that to a
No, she
small
doesn't get-
child getting ran over by a semi truck?
Yes, because the child is still there. Well, minus a head.
I mean, I think the post sounds terrible.
It does. And like she couldn't breathe. Like she didn't really see this whole thing coming. Like she had some nuts which she was allergic to and she was trying to breathe and like she was crying and
These
pleading to her
nuts?
brother.
You're a father, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What your youngest child
This is gonna get dark.
is 3,
I'm
right?
staying out of this.
Either or.
How old's your youngest
So,
kid?
do you want to know number 13?
3. So say you and your Hispanic wife and your older child.
All right.
You and all your
Not
kids.
Hispanic, but-
You and all your kids are at the park, right?
Ju-on wife.
And you're sitting there, and they're flying a kite. and the kite gets away from your youngest daughter, and she goes chasing it, and you're too slow, and your youngest daughter gets flattened by a semi truck.
That's what sucked.
That's sadder. That's sadder than your oldest daughter getting her head bashed off by a
Either
pole.
sound
Both of them
terrible.
sound
I don't
bad.
know why
Like,
this is a
I
battle.
don't want any of them to happen, but I think the
What's worse?
investment.
I want to
the
know
post.
which daughter
I'm voting
you'll
the
miss
post.
more.
I would
I'm putting the
because
post in the finals.
because Gage
Which
was
daughter
easy
would
to
you
hate.
miss more? No, he's not. He's
When he came
adorable.
back, he was a fucking asshole.
Yeah, when he came back, he didn't have to die.
All right.
Girls
Right.
have a vagina. Boys have a penis.
I'm
girls
going to
have
move
a-
on to number 13 because this is going to last.
Fuck Hereditary is what this is coming
right.
down.
Yeah.
I believe
Fuck
you
it
guys
hard.
like this movie, correct? 1968's
Yeah, it
Night
was
of the
good.
Living Dead.
Yeah,
It was good.
Top
Yeah.
10 for sure.
Yeah.
Top 10.
Cheesy.
I've actually never seen it. I've seen bits and pieces on TV.
You expect us to stop arguing, and then you drop a bomb like you've never seen Night of the Living Dead.
Thing
All right,
is,
you need to calm down. over
telling
that.
No,
like-
don't tell me to calm down and start the
No,
sentence with "I've
you
never
listen
seen Night
here,
of the
fucker.
Living Dead." No,
I like how we're
shut
both
your mouth,
arguing,
Baldy.
and both of us do not have this in our top 20 here.
I loved.
Night of the Living Dead.
No,
No, Hereditary.
I'm still
Oh,
on
fuck
Hereditary.
Hereditary.
Yeah, the ending sucked.
the
rest
whole
of the
movie
movie
sucked.
It was a polished shit. It was good.
I'm telling you
Until
right
the
now.
ending.
The best part
I
of
like
that movie.
the original Night of the Living
The best
Dead.
part
but
of
Don't
the-
say
I
it was
like
her
the
head.
1990
part,
remake
the
way
best
better.
part of that movie is where the kid smashes his
Don't
face on
say
the
that.
desk.
You can't. Okay. All right. Well, that sucked too. But no.
No, that was fucking funny. Where he's like, "Bleh, bleh," and you get blood everywhere, and then
Christian
he's
McCaffrey
scared.
got traded to the 49ers.
Tom Savini's remake was a lot better to me than the original.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
It was kind of lame.
They're very,
It was very cheesy,
horny.
but it set a bar.
It was basically the
Are we talking
gory
about Night of the
version.
Living Dead now?
Yes.
Okay.
We
It was basically the gory version of the original, shot by shot.
Lonnie, I'm glad we had that talk.
Me too. I feel more bonded.
I hate the fact that that argument got so heated that Justin's legs spread farther apart, and I'm seeing his Hereditary.
Thank you.
Okay,
You like that?
so yeah,
So
we all
anything
agree.
else to say about Night of the Living Dead?
It was.
Is it on your
Wait, we
list?
started talking about Night of the Living Dead.
It was
and then
a
you
movie.
yelled at me for not seeing it.
I
It
think
was-
I've seen parts of it. I
Night of
haven't
the
seen
Living
it.
Dead needs to be in the top 10 just for the implication of what it was. Not only it was one of the best first zombie movies, it had that racial undertone to it as well.
It was living when it needed to be living, and it was dead when it needed to be dead.
You guys have fucking killed and buried and resurrected and re-killed that joke so often.
it wasn't a
'Cause it's the
joke at
living
first.
dead. It lives
He's thinking
on.
about it. Okay.
Okay, what's next on the list?
Number 12.
Rosemary's
Baby.
So good.
It was good. It was good.
1968.
It was good. I don't know that I'd have it in top 20 though.
I would put
I would not
Rosemary's
put it in the top
Baby
20.
I'd have it in the top 20. I wouldn't have it in top 10, but I've had it in
as
top
one
20.
of maybe one of my top songs by Mike Patton. It was a good.
So number 11. So yeah, I don't think that one deserves to be on the list.
What happened
personally.
to its eyes?
I don't think so. Yeah. Number
Moving
11.
on
Just
to
scratch.
number 11.
Scratch number 11.
Why?
It doesn't need to be on there either.
What is it?
What is? Yeah.
It's the Texas
TCM.
Chainsaw
Oh,
Massacre.
get out of here, Justin. Right now. I will say I like Texas.
1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I do like the sequel better, but I still love the original.
Just I love the chainsaw fight in the second one. Like, how absurd of a movie do you have to have a fucking chainsaw fight?
Well, I just think of the fact where Leatherface is using the chainsaw in the second one, and he's thrusting towards her with it. But no, the original, yeah, definitely. I would have it
Hit her, Grandpa!
definitely. I think it's on the list in the right spot.
Well, okay. I mean, some would say that it showcases some of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history.
Shut the
but
fuck
I,
up, David Larry.
I like the new ones. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I'll see myself out. I just like Jessica Biel running around in a white shirt.
Okay, that's one of the only reasons why I like it.
I like the
I think they
lack
were
of.
fine.
I did like it for the lack of gore they used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's hardly any blood at all in it.
Wasn't in the first one? There was like none,
very,
wasn't?
very-
I think the only blood you see is in the beginning when the hitchhiker cuts his hand.
Yeah.
We're gonna go longer on number 10 here. I'm sure.
All right, let's hear it.
Cracking the top 10. Why
What
are you
is
looking
it?
at me?
Not you.
It's 1996 awesome
Fucking Scream. Get
Top.
out of here.
How'd you know?
movie of the year. Scream.
Scream, number 10.
Let's hear it, Jeremy.
Okay, I
Yeah,
think
let's
the
hear
reason why
Jeremy
you don't like
rip
it is
it.
because you like simple plots, and this is a very intelligent movie.
It ain't intelligent.
It's very intelligent.
Very.
It's not.
It's meta without trying to be. Well, I guess it is trying
It
to
was
be meta.
like the
but-
No, it's
first
definitely
actual meta horror.
Yeah.
It
But
uses too many.
it did it
big,
well.
Uses too many big names in it.
See that?
And I don't like
And
that.
I've debunked that one
the-
already because
You
they
can't
weren't
say
big
they're
names
big
until
name
after
actors.
97.
They were
That's
they
like
were
saying
known.
that's like
David Arquette had 2 credits. Courtney Cox was the only one that was actually in anything else other than a TV show at that time.
1-800-COLLECT does not count.
Besides Drew Barrymore, but they used her as bait
was
to
gonna
get
say, that
people
was
to go
on
to the
purpose.
movies. And it was on purpose.
It's
you can't
boring.
say something has
not
too
boring.
many famous actors
The-
20 years after it came out.
The
Yeah,
slasher
the
film was
outfit.
dead until 1996 brought it back. Now,
they
I
gave it
can
a heartbeat
argue
back, yeah.
with you, for you, that this spawned shitty ass things like I Know What You Did Last Summer and every other slash film that came after that with a
Yes.
person from a TV show
It was-
getting a summer
It
movie.
was a dead time for slasher films.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dead era for creative anything at the time. You got to think late 90s, early 2000s was just bad everything.
And it also
And
gave
this
you.
added to that list.
It set a bar. It gave us the wonderful scary movie franchise.
That's the
Which was
only
the
good thing to come out of the Scream movies
You think
is
so?
the
I like
first
Shriek.
scary movie that
Shriek
made
was
fun of
okay.
it.
Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
It's like,
Only
look,
good thing to come out.
I broke my leg.
It's Wes Craven's worst creation.
so.
Yeah, 100%.
We looked this up earlier. It's got 79 for both users and critics. So
I like it. I think it's where it needs to be. I think 10's perfect spot for it.
Add a few more zeros after it, and it's where it needs to be on my
That's
list.
the rating.
Oh,
100 out of 100. That's my favorite.
I have not seen number 9.
What's number 9?
Are we still on 10? Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no. I mean, we're done. I just wanted to hear him rant for a minute. I like it, so I don't really care if he does or not.
The thing
Like,
is,
I
like,
love it. Movie.
you do this thing like with movies that like I want to interject, but I'm like, fuck, he's right though. I mean, like he's
Right.
I don't know. I'm a
he said it sucked. Then he is right.
no. I mean, like I never really analyzed Scream as well as like just watching you guys go back and forth with it. I'm like, well, thinking about it, like it isn't a simple story. Knowing like it makes it, there's so many leads up where it makes you think that you know what's going
It's
on.
so
until
many
after
red
it's-
herrings.
Yeah.
And then when it actually gets to the finale of it, you're like, oh, I was right. But I was so wrong at the same
Right.
time.
There's a disappointment that you have within yourself, I guess. And like to be one of
The
the,
fifth
characters,
one
you're like,
is-
fuck.
It's because you
Probably
can
the second
relate
best
to
one.
every single character. You can put yourself. That's why it was so beautifully written that every single person in that movie you share a characteristic with.
Like Johnny Depp's DNA and Skeet Ulrich. Matthew Lillard was pretty awesome.
Did you really call the cops? My parents are gonna be so mad.
I'm dying, man.
You stabbed me. All right, anyway.
Number 9.
Number 9 is fine. Get Out. Jordan Peele. There are a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
Blaxploitation.
No, well that in this movie, but Jordan Peele has all of a sudden been put up here when he only has 3 movies and only one of them is good.
I think at the time
This
had,
isn't even his best movie in my opinion.
Yeah,
I've only seen 2 of the 3.
I haven't seen any of them.
I haven't seen Nope yet.
What is it? Get Out, Nope, and
Us.
Us. I think Us is good.
Yeah, if I had
love his
to
comedy,
choose one out of them, it would be Us.
Right, but I'm not putting
I-
any of those in the top
Oh, I wouldn't.
20 at all.
I wouldn't put them in the top 50 of my list.
Now, Get Out was a good movie. Get Out.
I think it was fine.
I think Get Out was great, and it was made at a time when it needed to be made by a director who didn't give a shit if he got popular. Or not.
Right.
that sounded like,
Like,
similar ingredients there.
He took a shot.
I applaud him for doing what he does.
Well, he took a shot when he was like, I don't give a shit.
Right.
He's like, either like it or don't like it. I'm either going to be popular or I'm not going to be popular. I don't give a shit. And he shot his shot.
I think
And
Get
it
Out.
stuck.
I haven't seen Get Out, so I can't really give you a full. But like what I do know out of it, it's like it sounds like Wrong Turn or
He took a relatively terrible idea.
House of Wax or something like that. Or
He took a relatively terrible idea in theory, got some great actors who did amazing portrayals, took that shitty idea, somehow made it work, and then made it better.
but not top 20 worthy.
with
No.
great cinematics.
But
It's
definitely
still
not,
it's
definitely
still
not 9.
Like-
it's still a shitty story. It's still a bad story.
he made
Just
racism
well acted.
a horror movie.
I just what John said earlier. I don't understand how he's as
Like God
high-
tier.
Yeah. I don't.
The only
get
thing
it.
I can think of is Jordan Peele. Like both of those guys, Key and Peele, are very charismatic people,
Right.
and that's the only thing
Then they
I
should
could
stick to
think of.
comedy.
Key does.
Keenan,
Yeah, he's actually really funny. He's in a lot of stuff.
like Predators.
I will give him I will give him that the movie I really liked the movie when it came out. I seen it quite a few times as a heterosexual white male,
Bullshit.
as a sexual fluid white male. I went in there and the first time I seen it, I walked out with my head hung low. Like it does kind of make you feel like I
Flagellated.
shouldn't have been watching it. Like there's certain things you watch where it's like, okay, that's not for me. But then you're watching like, no, cinema's for everybody.
Right.
But there's like the first time
I feel
you
like it's
see it,
generally a target. There's
you
definitely a target
feel like it's
audience.
not for you.
Right.
And that's why I can't put it in my top 20 is just it's a great movie, but I'm not its demographic.
Right.
And
Nope,
it's putting-
Nope is fine.
I don't feel that way when I watch.
I'll give him credit. All three
Asian
of his movies
cinema.
are different.
Well, in Asian cinema, and I will give it to Asian
I haven't
cinema.
seen Nope,
in
so.
Asian cinema, and I'm not saying there's anything
Just wait for
bad.
Netflix.
And this is not intended to sound like a horrible comment at all. There is plenty of
And we're canceled.
Yep.
no. This is. I want this to be known. There has been very few. There's been very few black directed horror movies out there that
Yes.
I know of that have been mainstream movies, and I think that is absolutely ridiculous. So for a black director to come out and say this movie is for my people, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And if there needs to be more movies that aren't white friendly, congratulations, fucking do it. I won't go watch it. I won't feel comfortable watching it. That's fine.
I think
Cinema's for everybody, but if
All his
I have
movies
to take
have a
step back,
political
that's
undertone,
fine.
but not all of them are
Yeah.
racist.
I think that's kind of
I
what the
think
thing
Us
that-
was
yeah.
more government, more of an attack at the government than it was.
There was something that you said
racism.
earlier, like on a previous podcast. What the fuck did you say? Something along the lines of like,
Say a lot of things.
this is true. Pretty much that like society is going to like shape it. It's like the fuck. What was it? The urge, or whatever. Like it's the hype. Sorry, the hype around it. I guess kind of ruins it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the people who are taking it and running with it, and it's like they want to banner it. You know,
Right.
like
Right.
this. Look at this. Look at this. Wave it in your face, type of thing. It's
Right.
like yeah, it's good. It's good, but like. You're using it to like a political stance, like drive a wedge between something. It's like you're trying
And I
to.
feel that
you're
part of his
weaponizing art.
intention as well.
Right.
Jordan Peele, like you said, doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, he doesn't care. And he does it in a way of don't tell me I can't see it. Let me decide if
Right.
I'm the one who's going to see it or not.
My
And
main
I
thing
think
is
he does that very well.
my main thing is like the inclusive people society, the people who are trying to make things so like inclusive. It's like it doesn't have to be though.
No.
Like if something needs to be like this or wants to be like this, let it have its corner or whatever. Like
Right.
that's still something to be appreciated. You want to like water down everything by saying let's take this, and this. This needs to be here. This needs to be there. It's like it doesn't
No.
need to though.
No, let the people decide what it needs to be.
Let my people go.
Well, that's the thing. I
Number
don't-
8.
yeah.
Number 8. I know you guys
artist.
all like this movie. I rewatched it recently. It is Halloween.
I would put that
The
up there.
original.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
I don't think it holds up. I really don't.
I think it's a very basic, easy plot. So it is a no reason.
Watching it when I was
It's a
younger,
no
I was
reason
creeped
horror
out by
movie.
that movie. But like, if I have kids and I show my kids that, like, I feel almost like they, I just don't feel like it holds up to the same standard that
I think there's
my brain did.
there's
if that makes
horror
sense.
in the vapidness behind the mask. Like you don't know what's behind the mask. I think that's what's scary. Is like
Yeah, it's your standard boogeyman movie.
kind of. It is more like disassociative
Just
ish.
like peeking out. behind.
Yeah, it's like when it's kind of like staring at you in dead eyes type of thing, and like very like why is he moving like that? Like that is what's scary, I guess, about it. Michael Myers is like my favorite slasher. I mean, I would definitely put it up above like some of the.
I think
next
I
ones
would have it
coming out.
on my top 20.
I'd
I
have
just
it.
don't know how high.
I think I'd have it in my top 15, but I don't know if I'd necessarily have it in my top 10. Just from the, like I said, the impact it had on horror history.
Yeah.
It's very good. I don't necessarily even think it's one of John Carpenter's best movies,
Right.
but when it comes to horror, it's influential. It needs to be in there. But I think there's movies that were more important.
I think a lot of the movies that came out afterwards would not have came out if it wasn't for Halloween.
Right.
I think
Oh, for
Halloween,
sure.
Halloween
Oh,
opened the door for a
absolutely.
lot of them. Now, I will say this, and I get a lot of flack for this, and it's not just because it's Rob Zombie, but
I was gonna ask
I
you this
enjoy
question.
his remake of it better
I agree.
because it was done at a perfect time.
Yeah.
And it is a more updated version of it, and it lets you see more of why Michael is
Right.
what
It's more
what he is.
psychological to why Michael Myers is what he is.
Mhm. I would have both Halloweens on my list. The original
enjoy the
Halloween would be probably closer to 1920, but
There's also something that this one did that not too many movies did before this or so, where the utilization of like, I mean, they do have like a theme music or song, but that like that terrorizing, like, you know,
It's one of my favorite themes.
Yeah.
that's the most recognized, I think, horror movie theme ever is the Halloween.
It's like you have like
ding, ding, ding,
the
ding,
vampiric
ding,
like
ding, ding, ding.
organs, you know, dun, 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 you know, but that was
Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah. Same instrument.
Number 7.
So this is kind of funny because he did pretty well in the tournament. Jaws.
It definitely was a different kind of horror to people.
Yeah,
It was a more
1975.
it was a more realistic, like everyone swam and
Yeah. I mean,
it's just like
that's
even
a
if
fear people have, even if they're, you know,
in their
like-
swimming pool.
Yeah.
It definitely touched on a different level with people. And
I think I read an article. It was like fear of sharks is like the 6th greatest phobia that people have or whatever.
yeah.
They say like shark attacks. Well, there's more attacks, but like the deaths, there's only like less than 10 a year or so.
Right.
And but there's what more than I don't know 50 or so shark kills by humans a year.
I would put Jaws in my top 5.
Oh,
This
really?
movie definitely has a way of like making you feel small because it's a real thing. But like as a human, or you're
so
not
helpless.
attached. Yeah. They live in a different world. They live in the waters and the great below or so. Like you don't know what's under there. I always found that fascinating as far as like the sea life. Like there's more explored space than there is sea. But yeah, that's crazy.
definitely needs to be on the list.
I think on the list, I just wouldn't have it as high as 7.
Same.
You said top 5. What do you say? You said on the list, but
It would probably be
top 15?
top 10.
Okay. So the next 6, I think 3 of them are the most overrated movies on earth, including number 6, Silence of the Lambs.
It touched a different part of horror for sure.
It's definitely more psychological.
I've always thought it was overrated.
I think so as well.
It's in there for a reason. It was the first horror movie to be
1991.
commercially marketable.
It definitely, it's one of those things though too, where people quote it from
Wrong.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
I'm having
And,
an
uh,
old friend
Joe-
with it in a-
Jodie Foster, I can't stand her action.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of her. I think that's part of it. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. I don't like this list shows. This is sitting at 6 and I don't get that at all.
I'd put it somewhere between top 100 and top 50. I wouldn't even have it in my
Agreed.
top 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would put it in my top 50 either myself. Justin.
I do like it mainly because I am more gravitated towards psychological thrillers. Definitely a top 20.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're breaking into the top 5. Justin, what's number 5, man?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's aliens.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Alien.
Space is not, I don't care for space stuff.
It's
I get.
I like the horror, like it's grouped with a extreme isolation, kind of like Jaws. Like you're out there floating by yourself.
Yeah.
You're up there floating by yourself. Like it's definitely a sense of that greater isolation.
Right.
I will say this movie did have probably one of the most iconic scenes, the face-to-face Sigourney Weaver and the alien.
The versus screen.
Yeah. And we utilize that in the Shadow's Edge movie with you, John.
That's true.
And
Something you can watch
in the
soon.
trailer. You can watch the trailer.
yeah,
It's on
October 25th,
the- Oh, yeah.
Shadow's Edge. When is this part dropping?
30th, 31st.
Okay, so you can go to Walmart, Best Buy, FYE, and you can get The movie formerly known as The Shadow's Edge, now called House of Clowns, that was shot in 2009.
What was it called in between that? It was like something 2.
Slaughterhouse 2. But yes, House of Clowns will be at Best Buy, Walmart, FYE, and online.
Would you put that in your top 5?
No.
But Justin and I's acting is awesome.
Yeah.
I had to play 2 characters because somebody didn't fucking
You played
show
like
up.
3 characters.
Did
in
I?
that. I think so.
I think I'm in the credits 3 times, but I think you just put script supervisor for the other one.
I always end up hurting myself. under
Facelift and
scenes.
Dr. Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was gross watching you make out in that movie.
It was pretty gross filming it.
I don't
Did
know.
I? I
I
don't think
don't
I did,
know
did I?
why, but it's really,
You and fucking
really uncomfortable.
Danny,
Donnie.
wasn't that?
Danny,
That was,
yeah.
Donnie.
You and her like went to town.
Sucking faces.
That was the first time you keep on saying that we practiced, but we didn't practice when you told us to partner up.
Bullshit. You guys
didn't.
went in the other room and you came out with a boner.
She said she'll be all right, and like we
Speaking
just
of
kinda
other
talked.
rooms, number 4, The Shining, which I think is also one of the most overrated movies.
I agree. Overrated.
I think it is absolutely boring.
I think I have more appreciation for it with Dr. Sleep. So
That's
yeah,
what I
guess
did
have to.
during the movie.
Yeah, I agree with John. It was boring to me. Again, it has
Like even Stephen King doesn't like this movie.
it has an iconic scene.
Yeah.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah.
But other than
In
that,
the ocean spray commercial out of the elevator.
Bonnie.
I hate it, but I think it's almost a perfect movie.
What the fuck does that mean?
I think it's
You don't like that? You like it? Or?
watching it. It's literally beat by beat, almost an absolute perfect horror movie. I don't like it because I love the book so much, and it's so different from the book. Like I expect things to happen, and it's nowhere close to what I want it to be. But
what's her name? A bitch. I'm
as a
upset, too.
movie, it's fantastic. As all the other movies that Stephen King's made. The miniseries was great, and I got my rocks off from the miniseries. But if you watch it and you watch it as a horror movie like analyst, it's literally almost the perfect movie.
Even with Bobby's World on his little train.
Right? Like even that, like subconsciously, the way it's set up and the way visually you look at it,
There was like 3
it's
creepy
perfect.
scenes in that movie to me. Like the little girls are creepy.
The old lady.
Like I'm shocked
Yeah.
it's number 4. Like it should be number 2.
That was a weird.
I know that was the
That-
weirdest.
That was. I hate it, but it should be number 1.
It shouldn't be number 1. It should be number 2.
All right, this is.
I think the descent with it, the isolation for me,
Yeah.
psychological thrillers. with-
Get rid of fucking Hereditary. Put The Descent in at number 14.
Descent is probably lower than that. Is the worst horror movie I've ever seen. in my
The
life.
Descent?
Yes,
You are fucking
100%.
insane.
That movie is fucking terrible.
The
not
Descent
terrible.
is
happens,
great.
and then the final 10 minutes, let's crawl around. Okay, they died, and then you watch the second one, and they didn't die.
This is
because
from the
they
guy
had
who liked
ketchup all over them.
Hereditary.
I didn't see Hereditary.
Yeah, you'd like it though.
Well, I mean, if it's better than The Descent already, that is literally the worst 2 movies
This
I've ever
Descent-
seen
That
in my
put away.
life. The budget for the second one is literally ketchup instead of blood.
so I
It's fucking terrible. What is
Why?
happening?
Justin,
We're at number
fuck's
3.
sake, how did you create kids with that? Justin's in his underwear right now.
Well,
You
we're
know
going
another
literally-
terrible movie that you probably like.
This is a very
Darkness
seductive.
Falls.
I've never seen it.
That was a pretty decent.
Evil
Isn't that
Tooth Fairy.
With Christian Slater?
No,
Which one was that one?
I don't know.
Is this seriously number 3? You're not fucking with me, right?
What?
Darkness Falls is
No,
number 3?
No,
No, it's
I said I
Doctor-
know. I said you know what else? The only thing that's
Oh, okay.
probably as bad as that is.
So
Darkness Falls.
what is number 3?
Dr. Akula?
1931's Dracula.
I don't know about top 3, but
I'm putting my
think-
pants back on.
Yeah, I don't know why you took
Why
them
did-
off.
why the-
Because Dracula is more of like a seductive, like the character, I guess, is like very.
what did that have to do with
Like,
you
I
taking your
couldn't be-
pants
I
off?
like
I
how,
couldn't
how
be
you did
more-
that for a podcast.
I
My
couldn't
blood red
be more
britches?
dry.
My blood red britches.
Like my pants are the Sahara right now.
Oh.
You didn't get me wet at all.
It was more of the aromatic effect.
Fucking, you guys aren't sitting diagonal with him right in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with it as high as it is on the list. I don't even know if I'd have it top 20.
Yeah, I just
There's so many better vampire movies
There's
they could
so
put on.
many.
Yeah,
this
but
list.
this is the original, and so many
No,
would not have
it's
happened.
not. They should have had Nosferatu on this list.
Boom.
Nah, I don't know about that one.
I agree 100%.
I prefer
Lonnie.
Dracula. I think the dummy vampire is, it's good. Yeah.
I would
Nosferatu,
have taken fucking Interview with the Vampire over this garbage.
Nosferatu was able to do so much by being a silent film than most other movies can do. It's amazing.
It's okay.
It's amazing.
I put Dracula up there, top 10. Because, I mean, without
Maybe
Dracula,
top
you wouldn't have
25,
like
but
the
that's
prowess
about
of the
as
dark
high
count.
as
Like,
I get.
you wouldn't have stead the path for other movies to make it even
like
better.
Twilight.
okay.
Wow. Youchie.
What's that animated one that Adam Sandler is the vampire?
Count Transylvania?
Yeah,
or Hotel Transylvania?
Count Transylvania.
Count Transylvania face.
That's actually pretty good. I like those. There's like 3 of them now. They're pretty good.
Number 2 is Hocus Pocus.
Number 2,
actually-
you asked about earlier.
I did.
Exorcist.
Oh,
The
yeah.
best theme song in any horror movie, in my
Exorcist.
opinion.
I mean, if we're going for scariest, creepiest movie for me, The Exorcist would be number 1.
Yeah. I see number 1 and number 2. I don't agree on placement. I think
Number 1, I think, is also overrated.
I
me
think
too.
number 2
Especially
should
since
be
it's
number
number
1.
one on this
Exorcist
list.
should be number 1 on this list.
I would put Exorcist in my top 10.
I'm trying to figure out what number 1 would be on this list.
Exorcist should be number 1. Shining should be number 2.
Yeah, don't tell Jeremy yet. We'll see if he can guess it, actually. Not yet. We'll talk
Yeah.
about We're talking about The Exorcist.
Exorcist.
I love the theme song.
Another
Just,
one-
like,
so
that
many-
creeps me out. It gets me in the mood for Halloween, just the Exorcist theme. It's actually one of my alarm tones.
Was just the when Reagan's going in to get tests done on her, and like she gets put in that machine and all. Just that scene alone is kind of creepy to me, because it's like, especially when he like puts the needle like in her neck and it starts shooting blood out. I don't like slow builds to movies, but this one actually was a good one. It kept me invested.
Foreplay is important.
I think I know what number 1 is.
Babe.
Are we done talking about number
Babe,
2?
Pig in the City.
Is it? Yeah. Are we done with The Exorcist number 2?
Yes.
Take a guess. What do you think it is?
Did it come out in 1998?
No.
Yes. What do you think it is?
I'm thinking it's the Blair Witch Project.
Nope.
No.
I wish that'd be so much better.
No, which is funny because they show that on there.
It should
Like
have
the
been.
beginning?
It should have been the Blair Witch. It should have been the Birds.
No.
It should have been Twilight Zone.
No.
It
I
should
think
have been.
Blair Witch needs to be on this because
Yes.
that was
Agreed.
the starting point of found footage film, and they
Right.
did it so well. Nobody's been able.
It should have been.
Paranormal Activity came close, but
I loved Paranormal
It should have
Activity.
been the
That's in my top
Howling.
5.
Both of them.
It should have been.
There's 6 now.
It should
Yeah,
have been
well, the first
American.
two.
It
The
should have
main
been
story.
American Werewolf in London.
so what?
should've
American
been-
Werewolf and Brenda.
What year is number 1?
63?
Hold on.
66, I think.
60.
60.
60.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
like a 60 something.
Fuck, well.
It's overrated as fuck.
Yeah. I like the concept, I think, is good.
I'd never heard of
The payoff is
Oh,
not.
Last House on the Left?
Nope.
No.
No.
That was 70s.
I'm curious to see if he gets this.
Let's let him noodle it.
Yeah.
60.
The villain was in our bracket, but then got voted out. So didn't make the bracket. That's your clue.
Has one of the most iconic death scenes in horror history.
Probably the one, yeah. And the first movie to feature
And it's the only
a flushing toilet.
death scene in it.
What? Now I'm like completely confused. I thought I was on the right track.
Give up or get thirsty for more.
Home Alone. Psycho?
Yes. Number 1 is apparently Psycho.
Oh, get out. No.
Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. It's overrated. Like, who has this as number 1?
Mojo.
I think it needs to be in the
Mojo.
top 10, but I don't think number 1.
Again, if
Just
it
think of,
wasn't
like,
for
an
that
Animaniacs.
shower scene, I don't know. That's all people talk about with that.
The ending is pretty good as well, where he's in the prison
Smiling.
smiling and talking. He never had a fly.
And didn't they make 2 other ones? Wasn't there 3 total?
Christian Bale one was good.
Yeah, there was 3 original ones, and then they made a remake that had Vince Vaughn in it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that.
See, I just wish.
I thought it was like they didn't. Yeah.
Some of the things not on this list that drove me crazy. Carrie's not on this list.
Oh yeah. Poltergeist,
yeah. Pet Cemetery's not on this list.
There's just not a lot of
Ghostbusters not on
new
this
age
list.
ones either.
Do you consider
No,
Ghostbusters?
because I like
There's more
Insidious and
things.
The Conjuring,
Important.
and they're not.
House of a Thousand Corpses,
Thousand
Devil's
Corpses.
Rejects, even
Jacob's Ladder's not on this list.
Hellfest.
Predators.
That's
not on
that's such a good.
I would put
We looked
Predator.
up earlier. It Follows was highly ranked by almost everyone that saw it.
Yeah.
It's not on the list.
I mean, I would even put Paranormal Activity on this list as well.
Paranormal Activity is in my top 5.
They
The first one
actually
scared the bejesus out of me. It was, for me, that was also a theater experience. Like,
Yeah.
everyone in the theater was just into it.
Oh yeah.
Hostel. That
I'm
would be a
actually
good
in the
story
credits
on
of
this.
Paranormal Activity.
Well, that was the thing about Paranormal Activity is that's what made crowdfunding like a thing.
You had to vote for it, your city to like get it.
I'd put
I'm
either
7 minutes.
That was
28
made on
seconds.
like a $40,000 budget.
Friday the 13th wasn't on that list either.
Nope.
Wow.
Because I actually was gonna guess Friday the 13th when I'm watching this video trying to guess what these movies are gonna be, and I'm psycho. I almost threw my laptop.
Phantasm wasn't on this list. Fright Night wasn't on it. Lost
Shining.
Boys.
The Shining, Psycho,
Neon Maniacs?
and Silence of the
Neon fucking Maniacs was not on this list.
The Descent.
The
The
Gate.
Descent is fucking fantastic.
That movie is garbage.
It's a good movie.
I'm gonna crawl around in a cave for an hour and a half, and then the final 10 minutes you can see this creature with night vision, and then we'll kill that girl. Spoiler alert! In the second one, she's
She
not
didn't
dead.
die.
Wreck wasn't on this list.
Tired.
I don't know if that would. If you're gonna
Rubber.
put Blair
Rubber,
Witch
that's what it
or
was.
Blair Witch or Paranormal, I don't know if Wreck needs to be up there. It's a really good movie. I don't think it's.
Grave Encounters wasn't on this list.
Nobody knows what that
It's
is.
fucking great. It's what it is.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt.
So, real quick,
No.
That podcast do anything for you? Well, that's not all. Stay tuned next week for the continuation of this episode, or whenever these things come out.